Hey everybody, Kevin here, and it's cold, but that's all right. I can live with cold. It is winter time after all. But it won't be winter time for long. Eventually spring will come, and those of you that aren't on the road a lot will want to start getting out and doing things in spring and summer. So we're going to talk about five places that are really good to camp that you will enjoy in Southwest Virginia. So let's get to it. Now, in Southwest Virginia, you're not going to have a lot of free places. Unless you're traveling through in an RV and you're just staying in a Walmart parking lot, that's going to be about your choices for free. Everything else you're going to have to pay for. Now, Southwest Virginia is basically everything from Roanoke down to where Virginia meets Tennessee and Kentucky down at the very tip. For my preferences between that area of Roanoke on down to Withful, there just isn't a lot. There's Claytor Lake State Park, it's okay, but I'm going to concentrate on Withful on down to the end of the state. And Withful, if you look at a map, Withful is where Interstate 77 and 81 cross over. So you have a lot of traffic coming through there in all directions. And as you move on down the state, it's going to be easy to get to these places no matter where you're traveling from. So these are in no specific order, but here we go. The first one is going to be Rural Retreat State Park. It is about 10 or 12 miles from Withful down 81 south, headed towards Bristol and the Tennessee line. Virginia state parks, unfortunately, are a little on the expensive side. You're going to pay about $20 if you're dry. You're going to pay $30 or $35 for full hookups. That's just the way the Virginia park system works. But as far as Rural Retreat State Park, there is a lake there. Now, I've stayed there before over the years. I have a friend in the area, so luckily I go stay in my friend's driveway when I'm up in that area. And you will see I shot a lot of videos back in the summer sitting in shelters looking at that lake, and that's where I was Rural Retreat State Park. It is a nice place. It is a nice place to go spend time in the day. There's a few nice trails that go around the lake. There is nothing motorized allowed on that man-made lake, so it's basically pedal boat kind of stuff, little boats, rowboats. So it's nice and it's quiet, and there's a lot of wildlife there. You can fish in it, but you will have to, of course, have a fishing permit from the state of Virginia in order to do so. But that is one of the best places, scenic places, places to hang out. And there's a few little restaurants and things in Rural Retreat. Not a lot there. Rural Retreat is a really cool little town. But, you know, you're 10, 12 miles away from Withful, which is going to have all of those fancy things that you want, if that's what you want. Number 2 is a place called Stoney Fork, which is part of the National Forest because the Jefferson National Forest runs through this area. Being that Stoney Fork is a National Forest thing, it is really cheap. Now, there are places in there that have hookups. You can do places without hookups. I think it's got about 30 or 40 spots altogether. Again, you're in that area where 81 and 77 cross in Withful. And it's going to be a couple miles up from Withful where Interstate 77 is headed toward Bluefield and the West Virginia line. Just a couple miles off the interstate, you can reach it from there, or you can go through Withful and go up the old road, which is called Route 52, 8 miles or so out of Withful, and you're going to start seeing the signs and be able to get to this. Has dump stations, has showers, has everything you want. One of the nicest places in this part of the area. It is away from everything. You're not going to have a lot of noise. A lot of times you run into these places and they are right next to the interstate with a row of trees, and you still have a lot of road noise. This is far enough away from everything. It's going to be very, very, very quiet. Everything's paved, so you have plenty of areas to go walk your pets, what have you. So I really like it. It's one of the places I stop at quite often when I'm going through. It's going to be $20 roughly with hookups. If you're disabled and you have the National Parks Pass thing, you know, you're going to be able to stay there for $10 or $12 a night. So it's a good deal for you. The next one, if you're looking at a map, you come on down another 25 miles or so, you're going to see Marion, Virginia on Interstate 81. You're going to veer off about 8 miles, and you're going to see this little town called Sugar Grove. This is going to be another national forest area that's called Raccoon Branch. There are a couple of other, if you start looking at it, within just a few miles of there, other little national forest areas that are dumps. You do not really want to stay in those. They're bigger. One of them was having water problems, and the showers weren't available half the time. They just have some issues. When they start having problems, they just put them off and tend to not fix them. That happens a lot when you're dealing with these places. But Raccoon Branch is really nice. It's really small, 20 or 25 spots, one big loop. It's near that main road, which is Route 16 that runs through there. There's nothing really in Sugar Grove other than a couple of gas stations, and there is a Dollar General store there now, which will serve the needs for most people that are on the road. But if you want to get down to where there's more stuff, again, it's just over the mountain, 8 or 9 miles back down to Marion. I just really like it, and here's why I really like it. There was a couple videos I did from this back in the summer, too. This is where I was at when I met the people from Germany. This is where I was at. I met another guy, and we hung out for several days in a row. The poor guy that had the rock hit his side window and busted it out, if you remember that. That was all done at this Raccoon Branch place. Because it's so small and it's that one big open loop, when you're walking around, it is just easy to meet people. You're not stacked on top of each other. You're still, 30 or 40 feet easily from the next vehicle. But it just is the environment, because you don't have all these things in the way separating everybody, that people just come out and holler at each other. And as they're walking their dog, they stop and talk to each other, and they invite each other over for campfires. And somebody does a campfire, and, the guy in the next vehicle steps out, and they invite him over and have a cup of coffee. And it's one of the most inviting places that I have stayed in this part of the world. So I really like it. I don't know what you'll have at the time that you go there, but I know the camp host that I had, they took it upon themselves to cut up a bunch of wood, and they were putting free firewood at every campsite. So you weren't having to go out and pay $8 for that little bundle of firewood like you do most places. Just a great, great hidden place. There are some nice trails back in there. You can take a several-hour hike to the top of a mountain. As far as Sugar Grove, there's not a lot exciting there to do, but this is a good place just to get away. Your next one, which is going to be on now 16, it's going to be another 15, 20 miles, and then you detour off about another 10 miles, so maybe 30 miles total away, kind of to the top of the mountain, is going to be Grayson Highlands State Park. There are a lot of things at Grayson Highlands. There's a lot of horse stuff that goes there. There's a campground there just for horse people. But one of the attractions to Grayson Highlands is there are wild ponies in this area that have been there for decades, that actually started out, there's some stories you can read about, they actually started out in the Sugar Grove area, but they are part of this park now. So as you're out hiking these trails and things, you can run up on these wild ponies, which is just really interesting. Again, there's a video where I did that back in the summer. I'll post a link to that down in the description if you want to check that out. But it's just a really, really nice area. Again, when you're trying to be budget, it's a little on the high side. There's nothing else really around there that's going to be a free option for you, but you know, it's worth it to spend the $35, $40, whatever it is, to stay at that state park for a day, just to go experience the ponies and the things that are going on there. And your fifth one is going to be further on down. It's going to be a place called Duffield, Virginia. It's going to be 20 miles from Big Stone Gap. If you remember a few years ago, there was a movie called Big Stone Gap that was loosely based, set in that area. Natural Tunnel has a nice campground. Again, it's a state park. You're going to be in that $30 range. It's very well run, however, very nice people there. There are activities there you can pay for and do. There is a little ski lift that takes you not to a ski area, but basically to a lookout point. You can go down to a place where there's railroad tunnels. You can do rafting there. You can do some kayaking there near a little river. So if you're into the outdoorsy stuff, it's a good place to go and spend a day or two if you're traveling through that really, really bottom end of the state. Now, there are some parks around that I don't care for in this part of the world at all. But these are the 5 that I recommend. If you go to any of these 5, you're probably going to have a good experience. So that's my 5 in the southwestern part of Virginia. I'll do some videos later on of other places that I've been to, other states that I've been to, and other great places I've found in the parts of those states. Give me a little feedback down in the comment section if you have been in any of these I've mentioned, or any of these near here in southwestern Virginia in your travels. And of course, we'll be back with other travel videos, other van related videos, and we'll see you soon.